Imagine a swarm of nanobots. They look just like mosquitoes, but they're carrying a designer pathogen. Their bite isn't a bite, it's an injection of a virus, and thanks to a little bit of gene splicing, all vaccines and treatments have been rendered useless. The nation that released the swarm has done so with no risk of the virus infecting their own population, as the insects are using AI to pick their targets, and the pathogen itself is only effective on a specific ethnic group. Could this happen tomorrow? Well, no, fortunately, nanotech and genetic engineering aren't there yet. Could this happen in 2035? Well, possibly. And it's a threat that's being taken very seriously by both the United States and Russia, who are taking steps to protect against their national DNA leaking out through at-home ancestry testing kits.
Yuck factor, almost, if you like, in it that makes it so different from other weapons, from a gun wound or a bomb or a landmine or something like that.
Welcome, family, to another edition of Stranger Thinking Media, where we bring you the gospel of Yahushua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ, to address the problems of a modern world. So, stay tuned. We have an awesome show for you today. Hi, this is Rachel Israel with STEM Global News and World Report, bringing you breaking news from around the world. Let's take a look at today's breaking news. Up until fairly recently, nuclear war has been considered the odds-on favorite to end the human race. But now, there is a more viable, sinister threat. Today, biological weapons could be the actual downfall of mankind.
The use of biological weapons would be repugnant to the conscience of mankind. And so it does kind of have this yuck factor, almost, if you like, in it that makes it so different from other weapons, from a gun wound or a bomb or a landmine or something like that. Now, today, the United States doesn't have an offensive biological weapons program. It does have a defensive biological weapons program. And that has been expanded greatly since September 11th. What we've seen in the United States is a huge expansion in the civilian biodefense effort, as well as in the military biodefense effort. And one solid estimate is that there's about $50 billion that have gone into biodefense research since September 11th. Certainly, by nurturing a culture of fear, there is a way for the government to justify its role. And of course, a big role is played by the security industry, to some extent the pharmaceutical industry and the biotechnology industry, who sees the funding going into biodefense as a way for them to tie over some of their funding gaps, for example, as a way of developing their company. They have a large lobby in Washington, so there's an interest there in hyping the threat. Well, it's certainly prudent to take precautionary measures against the threat of bioterrorism, but there are limits to the amount of resources and the amount of focus that should be devoted to these high consequence but very low probability events. Depending on how you portray the threat and the consequences of that threat, you have different ways of I guess, investing your resources. That's one of the problems really with the scenarios that are given for potential bioterrorism attack, or the films that you see out there, or the books that you read about potential bioterrorism incident, is that it portrays a bioterrorism incident as though there will be mass casualties and mass fatalities, so in the thousands. And it's more likely that it'll be a crude biological weapon that's used, so a crude pathogen that will be distributed. Might still cause a large number of casualties, but those numbers would be in the hundreds rather than in the thousands. So it's a misdirection of the focus, and a lot of this comes because of the scenarios that are put on the table as possibilities of what would happen. And these scenarios often misrepresent the technical difficulties in developing a biological weapon, for example. So the entire process of weaponizing a pathogen is often skimmed over, if you like.
Biological and chemical weapons have the potential to pose a national security threat to the U.S. that the country is not equipped to handle, a panel of lawmakers and a military leader told an audience at the Aspen Security Forum.
U.S. Congress Representative Jason Crow, member of the House Intelligence Committee, claimed that his country has made biological weapons that target human DNA. Crow, representative by the state of Colorado and former military serving in Iraq and Afghanistan, clearly said that many of these weapons have already been developed. He recalled that although medical information is private, there are companies that acquire it and sell it. Speaking alongside Pentagon representatives, Crow said that protection of commercial data in the United States has degraded alarmingly in the last 20 years.
Yeah, so to be clear, I think one of the things we're talking about here is that there are now weapons under development and developed that are designed to target specific people. Right, that's what this is, where you can actually take someone's DNA, take their medical profile, and you can target a biological weapon that will kill that person or take them off the battlefield or make them inoperable. So you can't have a discussion about this without talking about privacy and commercial data and the protection of commercial data, because expectations of privacy have degraded over the last 20 years. Young.
Well, that's the news for tonight. This is Rachel Israel signing off. Thank you so much for supporting our content. If you did enjoy this video, hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell, and share this with your friends and family. I'm sure they would find it interesting as well. We here at STEM News wish you all a good night.